Hello, welcome to this presentation entitled Industria, Loci, this energy of place. My name is Martin Murray. I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Ulster. The subtitle of the paper is Achieving Energy Optimisation within Mixed-Use Developments Using Passive House Design Strategies in Urban Design. And I suppose the key item here is urban design, because I believe that the energy problem as currently expressed is not holistic enough. It tends to be individualized into buildings, whereas the problem is one of the collective. And it's an ongoing problem. It's one that is expressed most eloquently in terms of traffic jams versus cars. No better seen than the advertising for such cars. And I would reference a book entitled The Pursuit of Loneliness, which examines this from the point of view of the USA perspective. But we have to deal with energy as a collective. So the presentation overview is to reference both national and international issues. The paper context is obviously the conference, which is the post-carbon city. And then the discussion in effect is that we are all in this together, because climate justice inevitably is social justice and is a problem of unity. So the European Energy Conference in June reflected very much a concern over a lack of ambition in terms of what we are trying to achieve with our energy standards in Europe. And part of this paper is to address that by identifying the issue of urban design and mixed-use development as being a really optimal way of trying to achieve or address our energy issues. So in Ireland, we have an energy performance problem, or rather an energy gap. So if we are going to create buildings which are currently set for use in 2050, then we need to create buildings that have incredibly low U values and in effect are energy plus, and we're not doing that. And in particular, we're not doing it in terms of refurbishment. Because refurbishment is going to be the big challenge. Renovation is going to be the big challenge in the years ahead. And the one thing about Passive House is that it's ready to address this by means of its EnerFit plan. And what that gives us is that if we start addressing to a much lower fabric U value, a much preferred performance standard for fabric, then we stand a chance of creating room for ourselves in regards to the whole climate chance, 50% chance of keeping climate change to 1.5 degrees. However, we will not achieve that if we go at the same pace to which we've gone heretofore. And a number of the examples given in the paper submitted deal with projects that go back at this stage almost 20 years. And yet now we have only 30 years left to solve our problems. The one referenced here is in Dublin. It involved an energy network between a new office building, as expressed on the screen, and some existing buildings adjacent, which through a combined heat and power plant were serviced by excess heat from the offices. So that was 20 years ago. And it showed all sorts of energy benefits across a number of headings. And yet it was not brought forward as part of policy in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland. So it was a significantly lost opportunity. Another example referenced in my paper is BedZ, a well-known development in London from 1997 up to 2002, 20 years ago. And remember, we have only 30 years to go to sort our energy problems. And yet this integrated living work environment has not instigated a whole series of copycat developments. It simply has not been brought forward through legislation. It seems to me that the way forward, in fact, building on the likes of NZEB, is something like the Living Building Challenge, where the metrics of the building are based on a one-year review. So all of this identifies that resources are now. We need to address the whole issue of resources and optimum use of resources so that when we build something, we build it now once and for all, and we don't have to revisit it, and we don't get lock-in in terms of poor performance now. And this is a significant challenge to what is in effect an independence viewpoint in the marketplace. So in Ireland, we've had Bungalow Bliss, we have self-build, where people want to build their bungalow in the countryside. But this leads to a lot of isolation, a difficulty of service, and a difficulty of community. So as architects, we need to address this, and there's a tendency to address it with an overly architectural solution as opposed to one that's based on people. And that is best expressed in the Transition Towns movement in Europe. So I believe the solution to solving our energy problems are very much geared around addressing the problems of our small towns and communities. And all of this has been written about before. Back as far as 1960 with The Death and Life of Great American Cities by Jane Jacob. We talk about social capital as written by Robert Putnam, and we talk about the walkable city and the economic city. So all of those point to something that is more resilient than the large urban developments that we have found in the last couple of years, which are not resilient and lead to small businesses being decimated. And this was no more clearly shown than in COVID. So is there a good practice? One methodology of good practice is in Brussels, where they brought forward this Passive House initiative, literally over a period of about 10 years, which reflects that in terms of policy, we need to work in large time periods, 10, 15 years. And the beauty of it is it allows you to build up chains of material provision and chains of specialization and chains of efficiency on sites and so on. So what I'm trying to do as part of my PhD study is look at an NZEB case study which emphasizes the whole issue of fabric, emphasizes the whole issue of interuse energy and energy plus development. And the demonstrative case study is in development currently and will be part of my PhD study. And it identifies knowledge gaps that are currently in the market: cost optimality, embodied carbon, fabric, and so on. So where do we go? I think we need emblematic developments, we need to rescue our urban resources, and we need an expanded NZ policy platform, which is a topic covered by another paper as part of this PLE conference. Thank you.